Welcome and good morning, everybody. My name is Matt Huggins. I'm one of the directors at E92, and I welcome you today to a webinar that we're going to give in partnership with iboss, who we've literally just signed, and we're really pleased to be doing so. They're a fantastic organisation, great bunch of people to work with, and got some very cool technology. So the webinar today, if we just go to the next slide, I'd just like to give you a quick overview of what we're going to cover. So we'll provide iboss will do we'll do an introduction of iboss. We'll go into the products and architecture, because things have changed potentially from when you may have worked or heard about iboss in the past. We'll talk about the cloud, the strategic partnerships, the licensing options, and we'll also talk about how to position iboss and identify opportunities, which is certainly, if I'm in your shoes and my shoes, is a very important part of what I'd like, and I think you want to get out of today. We'll also talk about some things you may already know about E92, and some things you may not know about E92, and we'll follow up with some questions and a wrap up. Okay, so if I can just go into, this is the team you have available today. So we have Dave McKissick, who's on the call. Dave's the iboss channel manager for Europe. We have Francesca, who's channel manager and also looks after a lot of the sales across iboss for both the UK and EMEA. And we're also joined by Anthony Robinson, who's one of the team leads and very distinguished SE that works across iboss. Neil Langridge, who's the E92 marketing manager. He's been with E92 for over 12 years, and I'm sure some of you will know him very well. And also Robin Cook, who's the vendor manager for iboss, and myself. So as I say, we're really excited. I think this technology is very now. It's very cutting edge, and I think it will resonate, and has already resonated with a lot of conversations that I've had. So I'll just hand over to iboss, and we can continue with the next steps of the presentation.
Thank you, Matt. Morning, guys. So I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview on iboss in general. So we are a global-based company, got about 250 employees. Our headquarters obviously in Boston. We've had some funding over the years. So originally it was from Goldman Sachs back a few years ago, and then recently, as I'll talk a little bit later about our most recent cash injection that we've had. So we've got a number of customers who return to us year on year, about 4,000 plus organisations, and they cover a wide range of verticals. So we aren't vertical specific. We can deal with any kind of integration and environment. We have supported a lot of customers from on-premise to cloud, and we do have a cloud-first approach. However, we are flexible enough to be able to offer hybrid. We'll go into a bit more detail about that later. We have a number of data centres, about 150 or more, and we're still growing on those. And we've got 100 plus global points of presence across the world. So we do have, with regards to our distributed cloud, we've got 230 patents, and we've got patents pending. Like I said, we're cloud first. We've recently brought in a zero trust adoption, and I'll be talking about Gartner in a little bit around where we have moved recently, but we are sitting within the high level of the visionaries. And then across the board, we've got a number of partnerships, Microsoft, Verizon, Google, and then a number of others as well, which we will discuss in a bit more detail. So that's just a bit of an overview, just a general one.
Thanks, Frankie. Yeah, and so, hey guys, and so when it comes to the channel sales team here at iboss, especially in the UK and I, as Matt mentioned at the beginning, you've got myself and you've got Frankie, who look after the UK as well as the rest of Europe. But we actually report up into Simon, who's the senior VP for both the EMEA and the APJ region. But so alongside us in the UK, we've also got the UK-based tech support team, who work as part of a global support presence that we have that services all our customers We've got the technical pre-sales engineers like Anthony on the call here with us today, who run the demos and POCs alongside channel. And we've also got the implementation engineers who are responsible for onboarding new customers that we've got to the platform, ensuring their configuration deployment goes smoothly and things like that. All UK based, covering the whole of EMEA. But as far as the senior leadership team goes, as you can see here, we've got Paul and Peter Martini, who are the co-founders of the company, Paul being the CEO and CTO, and Peter being president. But we've also got Matt Hartley, who's come in fairly recently as our CRO, as well as May Mitchell as well as our Senior VP of Marketing. And then we've got Ryan O'Connell, who actually used to head up the channel in the Americas for Symantec for a number of years, was very successful there. He's come over to iboss, and he's the VP of the channel, Global Channel and Alliances here at iboss.
So as I was mentioning a little bit, we've had another, recently, we've had another injection of some funding, and it's come from Night Dragon and Francisco Partners. So the reason that this was driven is we have been growing, and over the course of the pandemic, we've actually been highlighted that our technology has evolved to enable remote working requirements, especially when it's become hard and fast for some businesses in order for them to stay afloat. We've been seen as a leader in providing these kind of services. And in light of that, there is a view that we have had this injection with a view to becoming IPO in the next sort of few years. There is also, for you guys, just to give you an idea, there's around 28 billion total addressable market available. So there is a lot of scalability, there is a lot of opportunities for you guys to go out and speak about iboss and make yourselves some money on that. So I just wanted to go on to speak about Gartner and how we've moved very slightly in the Magic Quadrant in December last year. So we've been in the visionaries for some time, but we were very slightly lower down. With the view of what's happened with Symantec, we've actually moved very slightly up towards the border of the leaders area, which is a very positive direction for us. We're in the hope that the more that we progress as we have been and expand and evolve, that we will eventually end up in the leaders along with Zscaler. Things that Gartner has highlighted for us is around our containerized architecture, which Ant will go into around how the actual technical side of iboss, and how this is how a very good USP for when you are having conversations with customers. We also have the flexibility to work in public or private cloud and as a hybrid. So there are a numerous number of options for your customers depending on how they wish to scale and how they wish to have their secure web gateways. As I've just said there, we can scale horizontally and vertically, discussing obviously the types of customers we have. We have anything from a small business all the way up to large enterprises. We can scale to no end on the customer, so there is no limitation on the type of customer that we can provide for. And then finally, we have the ability to win against leading SWG vendors. So we have come across the likes of Symantec and Zscaler and the likes, and we have won against them on a technical basis in some deals.
Yeah, so and with that potential opportunity, as Frankie mentioned, to push into that leaders quadrant, with that Series B funding behind us, we've got Matt Hartley and we've got May Mitchell who've come in at the end of 2020, and they're really focusing on driving our global go-to-market strategy for this year. So they've already started to execute on their plans to expand on the sales and the marketing front. to help support that rapid growth for our partners and increase that mind share with customers through our channel partners. If you could skip on to the next slide for me, Frankie. With that, we are a 100% channel focused company. With our SaaS model, we can offer partners dynamic growth and competitive margin levels for both new business and renewals via our partner program, which we'll talk about on the next slide. But our cloud platform is very mature. It's a very disruptive cloud platform. We've got key integrations with Microsoft and FireEye, which gets a lot of traction with customers. But for our channel, we have global training and enablement resources, to educate partners and customers alike, so they can have meaningful conversations about cybersecurity and how iboss can be positioned to fill those gaps or those requirements that they might have. So talking of partner programs, we're also running an incentive program as well to really kick on and start 2021 off the way we want it to go. So the incentive program really aims at rewarding the partner sales rep for booking demos, successfully closing deals. There's also an added incentive for multi-year deals as well. But there's also an extra incentive which is aimed at the partner and the customer for competitive swap out opportunities. So partner has the ability to earn an extra couple of points margin. Customer is also going to receive free licensing if they're in a situation where they're with they've got an incumbent vendor, a competitive vendor that they want to swap out, and they choose to come over to iboss. And that's available to partners in our partner program, which, as I mentioned before, we have very attractive margin and incumbency protection there for renewals, as well as the ability to partner up with your distributor for joint marketing activities. So, if you want to find out a bit more details about both of those, we'd encourage you guys to reach out to your distributor, obviously E92, and we can provide more details on that. So I think next up we've got Anthony, who's going to give you a bit more information on the product and the architecture that we've got. So I'll hand it over to him.
Cool, thanks, Dave. So cool. If we go to the next slide, I just really want to kick off really about what the core of iboss is. So essentially, core of iboss, we're looking at protecting users' web traffic, and that's from any device, any location, in any cloud. So really, when we look at any device, we really do mean any device we can cover. So whether that's things like your desktops, laptops, mobile devices, even server IoT devices, we've got many ways, a really vast array of ways we can redirect traffic, and we can make sure we protect those devices. And with those redirections, that's going to be across any network. So whether they're on premise, they're in your headquarters, whether they're on the road at branch offices working from home, we're still providing that same seamless level of protection across all of those areas. And then when we've got their traffic, we can start to look at applying our protections. So we've done our connectivity part, we've linked them up, so we can start to provide the security, and that can be things from your proxy rules. We have a really high efficacy malware detection engine, so we use partners across the industry to make sure our detection engine has a very good detection rate, but very low false positive rate. We've been very successful with that, and that's been recognized to quite a lot of areas in the industry with some sort of third-party reports and things like that. But we can also go a little bit deeper into things like CASB and cloud apps. So finding shadow IT apps or understanding what apps are in use across the organization, as well as things like DLP rules, making sure data that's leaving the organization isn't sensitive and it's going out in the right areas. But we can also look back more into the connectivity routes of providing more services through our platform that really add value. So things like our Zero Trust Network module. These essentially are VPN replacements, and they remove the need to have separate VPN functionality. So rather than having overloaded VPNs that I think is quite common at the moment with lots of home working and COVID sort of springing on us in the last year, this removes that need, and we can do it all through the cloud, all natively, and providing a better experience for the end user. And we also have our links into things like the SASE or into things like the SaaS model. So for integrations with Office 365 and other providers like Okta, as well as providers into public cloud. So one of the ones where I'll draw out in a moment is the Azure integration. We have deep links into a lot of the Microsoft environment and ecosystem. And if we jump into the next slide, and really this next slide goes into essentially the challenges that a lot of organizations face. We've seen that shift from on-premise, where we would have things like VPNs for users backhauling data in, but you'd have traditionally those appliances in the data center. But it's really hard to connect users when they start going remote. You could do it for a few, but once you get past a couple of or a handful of users, it becomes quite challenging and quite expensive, where you've got adding latency, and it's just a messy way to start securing that traffic. The alternative, which a lot of organizations go for, is that blind spot where you don't necessarily see all the traffic from end users because it's too difficult or too expensive to do, creating a blind spot for that traffic. And then there's also the cost element of that, where you have to maintain on-premise hardware, on-premise SWGs, as well as that VPN solution becomes messy. So with the iboss Cloud, you don't necessarily need any of that. We can do it all from the cloud. So you have that secure connections for all your users, regardless of where they are. And they're getting exactly the same experience. And as before, even with VPN applications, we can replace those as well. So you've got that true single solution, that single pane of glass to support that organization and all their web traffic. But one of the key things that we do also is our decryption, our inspection of all traffic. And really, we've seen that explode in the last few years, of going to sort of about 90% of web traffic, and being able to decrypt that at scale is really key. And that's something we can do from our cloud. If you jump to the next slide. So looking at our architecture is really what makes us different. And there's some key advantages to that. And when we talk about our architecture, we're talking about containerized architecture. So every customer getting their own container that's dedicated to them. So essentially that gives you far more flexibility in the solution, including things like dedicated IPs, or with government customers, the ability to do PDNS integration straight from the cloud directly through us. But really, it's all about the connectivity, making that piece easier. The security, if you don't have that mixed cloud environment and that mixing of data. So for very restrictive environments or anywhere with a lot of compliance, it's really nice to tick those boxes nice and easily. But the main driver as well is cost. Consolidating those solutions and giving that dedicated solution to the organization really is a benefit to that organization. They don't have to have as much management of the solution. They can manage it in one place. It integrates with other areas of the security stack, so automating processes. So it's really all about making sure that that solution as a whole works well, and that we're not adding extra overhead for that organization. We can do it all through the single dashboard, and we can integrate with other areas. So if we jump to the next slide, we're looking at the SASE model. Is something that's quite hot at the moment. It's a Gartner term that they've brought out in the last sort of year or so. But we cover off masses of this SASE model. And I mean, a lot of this SASE model is true to what our bread and butter is, like what we've done since sort of day one, really. So looking at linking the network side, so connecting users to cloud applications or to internal applications, and then securing that web traffic as well. So we cover off things like SD-WAN integrations, linked in with carriers and the routing, all of that kind of stuff automatically. And then applying that with our network security side. So the SWG controls, our CASB, our ZTNA, Zero Trust modules, as well as things where we can integrate with other areas of the security stack. So if there's SIEM solutions or triggers from other areas, we can integrate that into one cohesive system. So I just want to look at a couple of our partnerships, and I think Dave's already hit on a couple of these, but our main ones I'd like to point out to you today are our Microsoft and Faro partnerships. And really, the Microsoft one is the key one for us. With so many organizations being Office 365 customers, and we're seeing that shift of more Azure services and more customers going down this route, we've really heavily integrated with Microsoft, and we're a trusted security partner of theirs. So a lot of the things we develop are co-developed with them. So things like our Office 365 integration, you see a lot through the platform. We make Office 365 seamless through the platform. So things are automated, so we follow Microsoft's best practices. We still get visibility, and we can do things like tenant restrictions with Microsoft Office. Really just about ensuring that all of the transition to an iboss is a painless one. And we're even going to save them time where they're not having to manage Office 365 lists and things like that anymore. It can be done through the platform. But we can also integrate with things like Intune, virtual WAN, and Azure firewalls, where providing one-click, or it genuinely is almost one-click integrations with Azure to start protecting Azure services. So if we have Azure services running, we can protect them really nice and easily, and you get that visibility and that protection straight through the iboss cloud. But there's deeper integrations into the security stack through Microsoft as well. So things like Microsoft Cloud App Security, being a security partner of theirs, we integrate with that directly, and it gives value to MCAS, gives that the information it needs, and we get the feeds back from MCAS as well, so you can manage it in a single place. And the same with Sentinel, being able to log share with Sentinel nice and quickly. It's an out-of-the-box integration. It just gives that extra value and that extra protection straight away, showing that return on investment for the organization. So the final slide I want to go through is just quickly our packaging. So we like to get packaging nice and simple, and it's essentially just split out into the functionality the customer wants. So you've got our three main packages, which is core. So that's all our content filtering, our CASB, our reporting, our SSL decryption. We can then take the step up to malware defense. So that gets everything in core, but you also get the malware defensive engines, so AV, behavioral, IPS, source destination, and risk scoring. And that also has a nice single pane of glass response center as well. So managing those responses and those malware events is nice and simple through the platform. And then we've got our DLP package, which again adds on top of everything before, but also looks for data leaving the organization. So making sure that any sensitive data the organization might have is secured across the whole estate. And that includes things like Microsoft labels as well. So any document tagging they're already doing, we can directly integrate with and protect across their whole web experience. And then finally, just a couple of add-ons, which is our ZTNA module, so the linking into local resources and that VPN replacement, and also that FireEye module of protecting and adding extra layer of protection for things like 0 day and things like patient zero, things like that, which FireEye has sort of their heritage and their real specialty in. So perfect. If I pass back to Dave, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ant. So yeah, so when it comes to positioning iboss and spotting opportunities, we have had a lot of success with mid and large enterprise customers across a number of different verticals. I mean, as you can see here, some familiar faces, SSE, ABB. We've also got the likes of Mighty and NHS England, who actually came on board the middle of last year, that you can't see. And most customers currently are facing the same issues, as many of us are at the moment, around remote workers, their legacy on-prem infrastructure, not being able to handle remote workers, or it's going end of life, or it's not able to provide the level of protection they need for their SaaS-based applications. So this is where iboss can be positioned for these and many other different requirements that the customers might have. We'll touch on a few more on the next slide. But the use of our cloud connectors for customers, the remote users, that comes as standard with our product. We've also got a history of being able to migrate customers very quickly and easily from their legacy on-prem appliances, or if they're looking to move away from on-prem to cloud, we can do that very, very quickly and easily, and still provide them that content filtering, malware detection and prevention, and all those other features that they've had from their on-prem appliances that Ant's just mentioned that we have in our product packages. I mean, those are just some of the examples we've got, and some of the main competitors that you see here that we come up against. Their architecture is slightly different to ours, so there are a number of USPs that we have, like Ant mentioned in the previous slides, that these guys simply don't offer, and that helps us win. But as far as sort of some of the questions that you might want to consider, or that customers, or requirements that customers might have, we've got some of those on the next slide. If we skip on to the to the next one.
Yeah, so just want to go over sort of how to spot an opportunity. I mean, we all know how to look out for potential opportunities for moving things, but if you're looking to position iboss in, some of these keywords here will certainly help. Obviously, SASE is the big one. If somebody says SASE, then obviously, as I'm relayed to, we fill those in, so it's worth sort of mentioning or putting us in the mix there. There are obviously a number of others that have happened over the course of the last year with remote workers. The fact that we are able to enable all users to connect from any destination on any device anywhere in the world. That could be something that's key. You've got the latency. Now with regards to those who may be still on premise or have other SWG providers, maybe in a hybrid model, they might still have some latency with regards to backhauling the traffic. So this is something that we can eliminate with the fact that we've got our global POPs, and with the containerized architecture, those users, say over in Australia, will go to an Australian data center rather than hauling all the way back to the UK, or being bounced off into another data center because the Australian capacity is full, which can happen on a multi-tenanted platform. We also have things like CASB. We weren't known as a CASB provider, but obviously we have our integration with MCAS, and we do have CASB features now. So if you do have conversations around that, it's worth maybe mentioning us, see if we can get a call and have a further discussion around that. Obviously ZTNA with the VPN replacement, again, being able to connect to any cloud application securely is something that a lot of customers and a lot of organizations have been mentioning recently. And then I suppose the common one, you've got their incumbent going end of life, the likes of Symantec, McAfee, Cisco, where either their on-premise appliances end of life and they want to start shifting to the cloud, or simply if their current incumbent isn't doing what they require and isn't fulfilling the security needs that they have. Data sovereignty. We have that here because we can give independent IP addresses. So if your customer has an IP whitelist and they've worked with other organisations which need to have a dedicated IP for that organisation in order to be able to communicate between the two, this is where we come out strong, because we give those independent IP addresses as though they were on-premise appliances. Unfortunately, with some of our competitors, the multi-tenanted platform is unable to do so. They'll just give a range, and that could be a huge range of random IP addresses, which a number of different customers can use. So I just wanted to go through maybe a couple of questions that you could be asking your prospects in order to just understand whether or not they are looking for a solution like iboss. So something like, does the organisation fully understand its web-related threats and vulnerabilities as they pertain to the users? So this is something that you can look at for remote workers. Do they understand the risks that they have with remote workers who don't have, let's say, a cloud connector where it's automatically being redirected through a secure web gateway? So that could be good for you. Does the organisation see any latency due to backhauling to the network? That's pretty self-explanatory. Does the organisation have dedicated internal resource for deploying and managing yet another security tool? Now, in the light that we're in at the moment, especially with the pandemic, where people aren't able to go into their organisations, how are they managing to maintain their services and their security? Would a cloud-based service minimise those requirements and enable them to have the freedom to be able to work wherever, whenever? And then, does the organisation current provider have geographical focus? So this is a little bit around the data sovereignty. With the likes of Brexit, GDPR, and if any of you have ever dealt with some German, Russian customers, they require their data to remain in their country. We have data centers across the globe which we can support them on. They will know that their data is staying within country without fear of jeopardizing any legalities. Multi-tenanted platforms, again, there is no guarantee that that data is staying within country. So it's just something to think about and to discuss with your customers. So I'm going to pass over to Matt at e92plus again, so he can go through a little bit around what their services offer.
Okay, thank you very much for that, guys. I appreciate that. Great technical overview there, Anthony, as well. We just go to the next slide. We have a number of partners on this call. So I don't think we're no strangers to our partner community, and obviously we know a lot of you know of the services that we offer. There's a few here that I wanted to highlight. We're a 30-year-old business. I like to think that we evolve, we're agile, we're moving with the times, with the industry. We're very proud of our pre-sales team, our technical services. We offer very fantastic services, and we have a very large team that does that. And it's really important that we have that self-sufficiency on the vendors that we represent. So pre-sales, post-sales, we can provide demos, we can provide security health checks, and ultimately proof of concepts, proof of POVs, etc. So really important part of our business, and on offer to yourselves as well. The marketing side of our business, some of you will be very familiar with our e92 Social, and that's our content syndication platform. Only in the last quarter, it's gone up massively, obviously with the pandemic and people working from home and trying to keep in tune with the news. You can see why this has happened. But this is something that I urge you to, if you're not on it, get into it, get involved, because there's a lot of information that we post. Some of it may be prevalent to your businesses. Also, we do a lot of campaigns. So we will be doing campaigns with iboss. We can tailor those campaigns to your business, to a vertical, to a section of your sales people, whatever it takes. We have that bespoke functionality, and we're adaptable in that sort of way. Everyone, if you didn't know, Neil would be running that sort of thing. Obviously, we're doing mostly virtual events, but we will hopefully, fingers crossed, get back to live events at some point in time. So we're open to all sorts of creative ideas. Some of those we come up with ourselves. There's a lot of same stuff out there I see today. So it's all about being inventive and different, and getting the message over. So there's a great opportunity for you to tap into to MDF and a team that's polished and able to deliver this sort of stuff. And then obviously we've built a team around iboss. We've got a vendor manager, so he'll be responsible on a day-to-day basis for the running of that vendor. We've got director overlay to that, and then around that we've got some really well-established and strong salespeople that can help you take a message out and help you with your customer bases. I think that really brings it to an end. I will say we will make the recording available. I think we can do that. I've got 4 questions here as well. Just before I sort of go into those questions, I think we also have a couple of maybe 3 or 4 questions that have been asked prior to the call as well. For me, what I like about iboss is I like the fact they're very hands-on. They're SASE ready. They're tactical, which is really key at the moment. And I quite like the partner program. And it's a partner program that we've been able to help shape. So it's really important about making that a rich program for you, and making it rewards driven and incentive driven. I would urge you to, once you've been on this call, maybe to set up a 30-minute call with one of the team. We can get iboss on there as well. We can plan, build a business plan, review, engage with yourselves. Also get onto the iboss partner portal. We'll make that available. There's a lot of information on there, white papers, tools. So we've got I want to re-emphasize as well that there's a big team, there's plenty of support. The 145 million they just secured in funding is amazing, and will vastly change the way they go out to market. The market opportunity, it's 28 billion worldwide, but the UK is a focus region for iboss. And with that, we need some like-minded partners that know this region and are strong. Obviously, we've talked about the proven ability, and how iboss can migrate massive networks to cloud security. I love the fact that it's any device, any network, any location, and any cloud security. That's amazing. And the SaaS market, as we saw, is set to explode. To up to over 40% in 2024. The fact that we can, or iboss rather, can increase the value of strategic technology. So, working with Microsoft is a huge area for growth for yourselves as well. And the leadership team that iboss touched on, Matt Hartley, he's very well respected. He's ex-Force Scout. We've got May Mitchell, who's come in from a SVP marketing point of view. She's ex-Silence and took that company from a marketing point of view to where they are today. I love the fact that they have strong data sovereignty rules in set. And really importantly for everybody here, they're channel ready, they're friendly, and they're 100% channel. So that kind of really wraps it up from my point of view. We have some questions here. Can the Gartner report be shared after the website? Sorry, after the webinar. Dave, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, that's certainly something we can take away and try. We need to sync up with May. I'm pretty sure we've got a copy of it, but let us take that away and see if we've got a copy of that we can share out after this webinar. Sure. Also, just from my point of view, when I looked at iboss, it was really important that I looked at this type of report. You can actually find that report online, so it is visibly there. So without having to sort of invest in lots of money. Simon Clark, hi Simon. What is the smallest enterprise worth targeting?
I'll pick that one up. So we are looking for SME customers. I suggest that we do have a minimum order value because of obviously the way that our containerization is. We would suggest that if you're looking at anything 500 and above, that will be reasonable. Anything below 500 would have to meet the minimum order value, which for some would be acceptable price-wise. For others, it might be, it depends on their budgets, but I'd always suggest 500 and above would be your best bet. Yeah,
that's a great question, and one that we probably want to pick up in a 30-minute bespoke with said partner. Another question here, can you provide more information on the subscription cost structure, please?
Yes, absolutely. So this is why we'd like to have 30-minute conversations with you guys. It takes a little, it's easy to follow the subscription model, but to discuss pricing and things like that, we'd rather do it on a one-to-one basis to make sure that you understand how it's all licensed for you.
Okay, and I've got one more question here. Why didn't Trend Micro appear on the Gartner Magic Quadrant?
So I think from Gartner's point of view, I know from the feedback Gartner had for Trend for the last few years, is they were quite like they weren't investing a huge amount into their SWG platform. They were quite late in adding features that are sort of last on the market. So I think this year is when they've fallen off just because they haven't met the criteria this year. So I think it's more just it's not a key focus for them anymore.
Yeah, the criteria, I'd also echo that, and I'd also say that they haven't met the revenues that Gartner set as a criteria. So, and as Anthony quite rightly said, they're focusing in other areas of their business, which, and if you saw that Gartner report, there's a lot of same vendors out there that, just different colors, different names, that type of thing. But I think there's some exciting vendors, and obviously iboss is one of those. I think, Dave, we've got some questions that you might have picked up as well.
Other than those in the chat, Matt, no, I don't
Okay.
have any other.
Oh, there's one more here. Sorry. For
Yeah.
SME organisations, is pricing competitive and realistic?
Yes, we'd say so. For the level of technology that they're getting, it is competitive and realistic, and we are happy to be competitive in situations as well. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. We will work with you. There's also one more question on there about training, Donald. We will be offering training to our partners via E92. So we've got something we want to talk about on the 30-minute calls as well as the partner program, and what sort of level of partner you would like to be, depending on the level of training that you wish to take upon for iboss. But we will offer training for that. I've got I've got a couple more questions if we've got time.
I think so, just about.
So
sorry, just to piggyback on that training. We've got iboss Academy as well, which is our online training portal where we've got our training and accreditation program on there. But that, as Frankie mentioned, that's tied in with the partner program. So we can cover off more, give you more details on that when we talk through the partner program on those bespoke calls that were mentioned.
So I've got one about deal regs. So how do we deal reg and how long does the deal reg last? So you would deal reg via E92. What we expect from the deal reg is that we have a action happening, basically a demo, in order for the deal reg to be approved, or at least one in the diary, and then some kind of update within the next sort of 30 days. The whole deal reg process will last sort of 90 odd days, and the only reason I say that is if there hasn't been any actions or updates in the following 60 days after the first 30 days, then we would look to possibly close the deal reg out. If, however, the opportunity has been progressing and is still being worked actively, then the deal reg will remain open until that opportunity is closed. I've got a couple of technical questions that were sent over to me. So firstly, can iboss use on-premise hardware, as we have customers that still want to keep their proxies in-house?
I said, yes, certainly. So we can offer hybrid solutions. So we especially see this in customers that have quite heavy compliance reasons, like finance, things like that. So we can either go with a mixture of cloud and on-premise, or we can go fully on-premise with it cloud managed. So yeah, we're quite familiar with supporting those kind of scenarios, and it's all still 100% managed through the cloud.
And then the final one is, can you guarantee where data is located and set restrictions to make sure data stays in countries you select?
Yes, yeah. So you've got full control over where your capacity lives within iboss Cloud, so you can say exactly where your data is going to flow. And there's quite a nice part of the management portal where you can set rules for that. So you can say, one of the ones that Frankie pointed out earlier was Germany, which comes up quite a lot. Is you can say that all of your data is going to remain within Germany, and you can anonymize that data, and it's all visual on the map, so you can make sure the rules are set correctly, and it's quite nice and easy to set up.
Okay, well that's all the questions that I have. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for attending.
Great. Okay. Well, listen, I just want to thank, yes, again, thanks for putting that together. Just a message to everybody on the call. The team's available. Hopefully you have the numbers. And I'm also available should anybody want to reach out via LinkedIn or whatever it may be. Please, message me if there's anything you need, and we'll make this recording available. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Many thanks.
Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.